Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It is time for Catching the Curb. We got Bob Camardo with us, as always. And, we got Chuck in the background. Not really in the background this time. He's specifically requested stay out of the background because everybody always thinks he's sleeping, Bob.
I sent the last podcast to my cousin out in California, and he was talking about it. He goes, I see Sleepy still with you.
Chuck's back. He's making sure, keeping us on our P's and Q's, and certainly making sure that we all the relative and vital information that we need to bring to you here on this episode of Catching the Curb. Bob Camardo, it's been a few weeks. First off, a belated Merry Christmas to you, a belated Happy New Year.
Same to you.
And it has been a great start to the new year. You talked about some of the guys that you've had the last couple weeks, 3 weeks at Curbstone. I'd be lying if I said that it doesn't feel like you guys do just a fantastic job every single time out there. But is it, at this point, is it almost just like a well-oiled machine with all the guys and gals that you have out there that are making this thing happen?
It kind of is. In fact, after our luncheon yesterday, we had a little scheduling meeting, and there's a lot of people that are involved in it. But we have a lot of, like I've said before, a lot of the YSU coaches and staff and stuff like that are really happy to come and talk to us, and they do a great job. And the coaches bring some players with them. Like next Monday, we've got YSU softball coach Brian Campbell coming. He just texted me yesterday. He's bringing a couple players. So those kind of things, it's kind of running itself now. I mean, you just got to make the contacts and all that, and make sure that the dates match up with whoever you're asking. But it is pretty much a well-oiled machine by now.
It's been an incredible run, obviously, the early part of this year. But now you start moving in. Once that calendar kind of flips over to January, there's a lot of things on the docket. That banquet just gets closer and closer and closer. We'll talk about that in just a moment. Who are some of the speakers? You already mentioned the YSU softball coach coming up. Who are some of the other speakers we have to look forward to in the next few weeks?
Well, it's interesting. It's January, and we got, I guess, some real cold weather coming in and snow and all that. But that be damned, we're going forward with baseball and softball. So we've got, as I mentioned, YSU softball coach Brian Campbell coming next Monday, the 15th. Then the 22nd of January, we've got Guardians broadcaster Jim Rosenhaus.
I love that.
And Jim is just one of the greatest guys I've ever met in my life. And I'm not an Indians/Guardians fan, but he's really, really a great guy. And he always draws a big crowd for us. And he brings hats and shirts that they pass out and stuff.
Wow.
And we usually get a pretty good crowd for him as long as the weather's okay. Then, keeping with the baseball theme, January 29th, we have YSU baseball coach Dan Bertolini. He always brings a couple players, and he'll be talking about the YSU baseball first pitch breakfast, which this year is the speaker is Goose Gossage.
Mm-hmm.
It was supposed to be Omar Vizquel, but that didn't work out.
Yeah.
Omar's got some issues.
Yeah.
So it's going to be Goose Gossage, and I know there's a lot of Yankee fans in the area, so I'm sure that he'll be a good draw for that. Then on Monday, February 5th, so that we're an equal opportunity employer, we've got Pirates broadcaster Greg Brown. And Greg spoke to us for the first time last year. He was fabulous. He did a great job. Dana Balish knows him real well because I guess Greg used to work at Channel 21 in the day.
Yes, he did.
And so he got him for us, and Greg agreed to come back this year, which is a great thing. And he brought, what did he bring, Chuck? About 30 hats last year. People were knocking each other over to get hats, and he was a lot of fun. So he's on February 5th. And then February 12th, which is the last one we actually have scheduled right now, is YSU bowling coach Doug Kaburski. And I don't know if you've ever met Kaburski.
I haven't.
He is one of the most genuinely nice guys I've ever met in my life, and he has YSU bowling on the precipice of potential national championship. I mean, that's how good they are. They're top 5, top 7 in the country, and he does a heck of a job, and he loves being here. We did a bowling benefit for them last month over at Holiday Bowl in Struthers, and he's a bundle of energy, and he does a great job. So that's February 12th. So we've got the next 5-week schedule anyway, and then Chuck and I and the rest of us are working on scheduling after that.
Well, I know I keep telling you this. I'm trying my darndest. Once everything settles with our locations and things of that nature, I will be a regular attendee. But I will tell you this: February 5th is yours truly's birthday. I am going to make sure that I am planted firmly in the front row for Greg Brown because he is not only well, I'm a huge Pirates fan. I have PNC Park in my basement. My man cave is PNC Park.
Mm-hmm.
But he is my favorite announcer of all time.
He's really good.
Of all time. I mean, every announcer here on YSN, we talk about who are your influences. And Greg Brown is mine from a standpoint of he knows when to announce. He knows when to make it informational. He knows when to make it very entertaining. And I'm sure that the stories that he tells are just, have you on the edge of your seats.
And what's great about him is he doesn't hide behind the fact that the Pirates have been pretty lousy lately.
No.
And there's some hope for the future. They've got some decent young players, but he was a bundle of energy last year too, and he was a lot of fun to listen to, and we're looking forward to him coming again. He's one of those guys that God gave him that voice.
Yep.
That you got to be some type of broadcaster. He's got a great voice.
His laugh. I don't care where I am in the house. If I hear him laugh on the air, I start laughing. I giggle like a little schoolgirl when I hear him laugh. I don't know. It's just one of those laughs that makes you laugh, I guess.
Yeah.
We are creeping up. Crazily how fast this year is going. Because you technically start in the fall, right? So
right.
that kind of
Monday after Labor Day.
Yeah, gets your season going. So this January 1st stuff's for the birds. We're already almost midway into our year. But I can't help every Tuesday that I'm driving my son back from school. I hear Gene Steratore on WDVE, and I can't help but start thinking about the questions that I'd like to ask him and that anybody can ask him if they're at the banquet in a few months here.
Yeah, he's. We think he's going to be a big draw. We were talking about it yesterday. We don't know yet because we haven't started the ticket distribution and all that for the banquet, but we think that this has a chance to be a really, really, really big banquet, and we've got some great inductees. Our banquet guy Tom Miller, he texted me twice already today about he's on everything. He's been a gem getting this thing organized. But we're really looking forward to Steratore. We're looking forward to some of the inductees that we have, all the inductees that we have speaking and bringing their friends and family to the banquet.
It really is. When you look at that inductees list, it is a champions of champion banquet inductees.
Is.
Everybody seemingly on that list has some kind of championship pedigree that goes along with them.
We usually do one posthumous inductee every year, and this year it's Sean Durkin, who was a baseball and basketball maven over at Ursuline High School. And you look at it like Joe Harmon, Ken Kimmer, Bob LaRicca was a championship basketball coach, Kenny Linden, Bill Metzinger, Terry O'Halloran's a swimming champion, Kelly Pavlik, nothing needs to be said about him.
Was he a champion?
I think he was.
Just a little one.
Just a little one. Brett Powell was a wrestling champion. Ron Strollo, who...
champion of champions.
He is, and sometimes you read stuff on social media as people say some funky things about him, and listen, that guy does more with less than anyone I've ever been around.
Agreed.
He really does. And then you've got Cheryl Weaver.
She knows a thing or two about championship.
Yes, she's got she had to have another house for all her trophies. And then Dan Yeagley from South Range, who
know him, love him, want to be him.
Great coach, and just won a high school championship last year. So it's at Mr. Anthony's on May the 5th, and we will have. When we're here next month, we'll have definitive ticket information on what to do. But just make your plans now.
I know you've already got 2 tables sold because I bought 2 tables.
That's
so
great.
That's one of those things. We know I'm going to be there. We know some of the names, images, and likenesses that'll be there as well. I know head ball coach Andy Hake is chomping at the bit to get there. He loves going to those things. So
Andy's one of the guys that I want to get a hold of to maybe come and talk to us at a luncheon.
I think I can help you with that.
I think I'll have you do that.
Bob, as always, we thank you so much. One last question.
Sure.
So I was thinking about the questions that I would ask Gene Steratore. If you had Gene, and you will have an opportunity to talk to him and ask him a question, what's one of the things that pops in your head that maybe you'd like to know?
Why are the NFL officials so terrible? It just seems that way anyway. I don't know. But you know what? I was watching the Celtics and Pacers game last night in the NBA. The different sport, obviously, but the game was tied with 5 seconds left, and Jaylen Brown for the Celtics took a shot, and he got hit in the head with an arm of a defender, and they called a foul. For some reason, they reviewed it and they reversed it and called him for traveling, gave any other ball, he made a basket and won. And I don't understand, if you saw the guy's arm hit his head to call the foul, how would you reverse it?
It's a foul.
It is, it's one of those deals where you watch these football games, and it seems like every game there's a decision that the referees make that you just. I mean, it's easy to do it watching it on your couch, you know.
Monday morning quarterback.
But still, I mean, that's what those guys do for a living. At least some of them, anyway. And they need to go to full-time officials. I think that's. But I didn't mean to go on a rant. Poor Gene.
No, that's okay.
He probably hears that crap all the time.
Well, and here's the thing is, I don't know, you probably don't watch the Pat McAfee show a whole heck of a lot. I live by it.
No, I don't.
But Aaron Rodgers was on there last week, and they asked him about the officiating, and he said, basically, the good officials are now working for the networks, and that was a direct, shot to and a perfect kind of raising up of Gene Steratore.
Absolutely. They probably make more money doing the analyst stuff on TV.
Oh, yeah. And he said this morning, he said he's got, within an arm's length, he's got Doritos and beverages and things of that nature.
Like the rest of us.
Exactly. So why would you pass that up? But
exactly.
Gene Steratore coming up just a few months here in Youngstown, the Curbstone Coaches Banquet. You cannot miss it. Cannot miss it. It is going to be bigger and better than ever before. And naturally, we will continue to help and raise and provide a platform for our friends at Curbstone Coaches. Bob Camardo, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.